Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is an independent recording artist, songwriter, and producer, mainly focused on R&B and pop music. He is from Mexico City, which I just found out. Please welcome Ian Guerin. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Ali. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing perfectly fine. Excited to be here today.
Awesome. It's Thanksgiving here. I don't know if is it Thanksgiving there?
No, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving down here, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I know the states are different too, so I never know who's celebrating what. Um, so you are amazing. Once we
Thank you.
start, I'm going to tell you who you remind me of because it's a
Okay.
mixture of all kinds of people. Um,
Okay.
but
You can...
basically, what?
All right, all right. I love talking about my influences.
Yes, because they're you can hear them. Um, basically, I want you to tell me, Ian, when you started on this journey.
Well, it was actually a funny story because I was really little. I was 9 years old, and I was at an aunt's house, and we were doing some karaoke. She just bought me a karaoke set for my birthday. I liked it, but I didn't know I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And then she told me, "Oh, hey, you really can sing, so let me buy you a real present." And she said, "Okay, meet me Saturday." And on Saturday, she took me to a recording studio where I met a producer called Jacobo Martinez, and we recorded a full album of covers. They told me that I needed to have 9 songs prepared, and I did the demo and just the booth experience. I loved it, and I loved hearing my voice, though it was strange for a moment because I'd never heard my voice recorded before.
Mm-hmm.
And it started from there. We did that for about 3 years, for the next 3 years, every year. And I just looked up to it so much, and I prepared. And then I did a Michael Jackson tribute album when I was 15, and it was like in 2005, I believe. He was on trial, and it was really out there. So I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to do something to make it up like to him because he was my idol, and I never believed what was said about him.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we took it. She introduced me to a singing coach who does gospel and German technique. Her name is Patricia Chiri. And I took singing lessons for about 5 to 6 years with her, and it really changed the game for me. I really knew that I wanted to do this. I started writing songs like when I was 14. They weren't really good songs, so they're not released. But but the first record I wrote was a song called "How Can I Explain," and I can't really remember the words, but I remember those first two. "I'm Tired of Waiting" was the second one, and
Mm-hmm.
it just all went from there, like till 2010, when actually it was 2008 when there was a really bad flu epidemic here, and we moved to a city in the outskirts called Cuernavaca. And a friend of mine, he introduced me to a producer called Smir Van Gort, and we did a song, which is in the past album, the Mad Sexy album,
Mm-hmm.
that's called Miss Dance. And I liked it, but we stalled like for 2 years. And then he called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a birthday present." And I came over to the studio and we recorded what ended up being my debut single, Bubblegum. And it hit it off. It didn't do as well, but it did get me some attention and some head turns, and it went from there. I started recording the first album, which was Mad Sexy, and then in 2012, um, I recorded the video for Mad Sexy, and then it dropped on August 29th because I wanted to tribute Michael,
Aw.
and he was no longer around by then. And I
Yeah.
actually, this is a funny story because when I was recording the album in 2009, it was when he announced the concerts from the This Is It concerts, and my mom just said, "If you want to go to London, go." So I bought the ticket with my cousin. My cousin is Ruben, and we bought 4 tickets, and we figured, okay, if we use 2 tickets and then sell the other two, we can pay for the trip expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then he died. Well, the day that we were gonna go buy the airplane tickets, so that changed the whole concept of my album. I figured I didn't really want to like do the kind of music that I was doing, so I changed it up a lot, and it ended up taking like another 3 years to make. And so it finally dropped in 2012, and it had a couple of good singles, but I really never felt comfortable with that pop idol sneaker wearing kind of man that they was trying to make me do. And in one of the videos, the Mad Sexy video, I appear with red Converse sneakers. I don't know if we can say brands, but okay, I just said Converse.
Oh yeah, you can. No, it's all good.
And so shout out to them. I wasn't really comfortable with that image of the sneakers and the popish thing. And I found myself trying to refigure out everything. We held the promotion of the album, and I just jumped into my file and saw that I had written a lot of songs for past girlfriends, and they were all R&B style. And I was rehearsing covers of R&B. Like I love R. Kelly, Whitney Houston, Prince. Prince. I'm reading his wife's book right now, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do this. I want to do R&B. This is where I'm feeling comfortable. I can actually wear proper shoes because I like to dress up in proper shoes and shirts and jackets. That's like my style. So you can see in the covers.
Yes.
I like. And I just started doing that, and I met Brent Fisher, who is a really talented producer, and he and his father Claire had worked with Prince. And when we first met, he told me that he'd been working for this artist for 25 years. And he said, I don't know if you know him. His name is Prince. And I was like, of course I know him. Come on.
Who does not know Prince?
Exactly. And I just told him, I'm ready to cross over to a style that fits me and suits me better. And he just said, if you're going to do a crossover, do it now. So it actually went from there, and in 2014, I recorded a song that was called Pop This Jam, and it was actually a birthday present for a girl that I wanted to date. And then some of my friends heard it, and they said, this is really good, you got to release it. So I did, and it ended up going to #1 in a UK magazine called The Beat 100, and it started getting me a lot of attention. So that was kind of R&B hip-hop, and starting from there, I just never stopped doing R&B. I love big band. I love Tony Bennett. So I wanted to be a mix. I didn't want to be anybody else, but I wanted to mix all the influences. I don't like when artists say that they're not influenced by any sound and their sound is brand new, because unless you were here in the 1920s, it's never brand new.
Exactly.
So I try to fuse it with the things that I liked, and I think that my writing style is very country-like, even though it's R&B, and that's a distinction that I always like to make, because I'd like to tell the story in full, from the beginning to the end. I'm not focused so much on making a hook and having everything else not make sense. And so I started doing the second album, and actually the song that we're here today about, Free Time, it's a song that I wrote back in late 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was just here at home, and I just gone to LA to try to promote the album, and went to all these labels where I didn't have good experiences. And I think now I get it, because they were trying to tell me that style didn't suit me well, that pop icon type of thing. And so I was here, and all of a sudden I was thinking about a next date that she dumped me. She dumped me 2 weeks before. And I was really I know. And it was really a moment that I said, I don't know what she does with her free time, but I think about her all the time. And I was like, whoa, there's a song in there somewhere. And so I started, I have a mini studio here at home, and I went there and started just doing the song. but I didn't have like the budget to promote it or to release it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured, okay, this is gonna be a big song. I needed to go to the file and wait for me there till I put myself together and have the means to promote it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sat there for a while, like for 4 years or 5 years. No, 5 years. I recorded it like in early 2016 or 6 years maybe. No, 4 years. I'm not doing my math properly. But
It's okay.
but it sat there for a while, and I just was full on the R&B thing when I decided that that would be the lead single. And I wrote another song for this album that's called "Cry." I think we're gonna hear it today.
Yes.
And that song was like the opening for everything. It won me awards. It did well on the UK charts. It opened up a lot of interview opportunities for me, and so it's all gone from there. Like, and this album, the one that's housing Free Time, which I don't want to give the name away yet.
Okay.
But it's been a cleansing experience. I think when I was writing the pop album, I wasn't being so true to my feelings as I was in those demos that I was writing for all the girls. And so I opened up to myself and started getting to know myself and really pouring my feelings out. So it was a cleansing experience. And there's a lot of things that many of those girls, they're not going to like when they hear them. I remember like sending actually Free Time to the girl that was the inspiration behind it. And she never replied to me. She just like threw a little bits and pieces here and there in social media, like letting me know that she heard it. But if you hear the words in Free Time, it's a really paranoid song. It deals with a lot of desperation, but the beat yet is happy, and I think that's the commonality of the song, the sound today. Like, I feel like I have a tendency to make happy beats, and my producer, he gets me really well. Like, sometimes we have that connection where he doesn't even have to tell me if I like something, or I don't even have to request a specific sound. It's just like there, and it happens. And so I do that, like happy beats with very desperate songs inside.
Yeah.
They're very longing.
They are. They are, very much. Now let's talk about the awards that you've mentioned. So Cry went on to win 2 Beat 100 UK awards and promotional medal, an A&R Silver Song Award, an A&R Silver Video Award. It went to the top, the Sing the Rush USA R&B chart for the week ending in July 10th, 2015. It was on the R&B Beat 100 chart, on top 40 charts in the UK. It performed at, peaking at number 7. And the Beat 100 World chart, number 5. It made its American radio debut Tuesday, July 21st on 2015. In 2015, I can't talk either, on WGTSDB's The Good Times show, and was later served to AC, R&B, and R&B soul stations nationwide and the United Kingdom. And it won in 2015 the Best R&B Soul Song at the Academia Music Awards in the US, which is huge. And I like what they said about it. The judging panel said, with a glorious 90s style vocal aesthetic and classical piano runs, Ian Gerwin's Cry asks the musical question, how much can one man hurt on account of his unrequited love? So that gives you an idea of what the song, like you talked about it. And it does sound happy, but if you listen to the words, you can hear that it's about, love and losing it, and are you going to find it? And you know what I mean? And it's beautiful. Now you also wrote an album for the holidays, and that's exactly what it's called, For the Holidays. Now, you said that for the most part they're happy and catchy, and they're gospel-oriented segments that highlight the sorrow, desperation, and melancholy the song's lyrics truly portray, and it's a hopeful song. And it's beautiful because I went and listened. I always listen to everything I can. And
Thanks so much.
it is very relatable. And that's one of the things you say. So now you have finished recording your sophomore album, and
Yes.
it's basically R&B, soul, funk, pop, and R&B pop music.
Yes.
But it does include a couple of the pop cuts from the Mad Sexy era.
Yes.
Now, you announced the lead single Free Time, which dropped alongside the music video on Vivo. Now, you're on YouTube now. Are you still on
Yes.
Vivo, or are you just on YouTube now?
I'm on Vivo and on YouTube.
Okay, okay. Now, it quickly became the best opening ever. Your best opening ever, and the top song on digital stores and streaming services. Like it's won 4 awards: the A&R Golden Song Award, the A&R Silver Song Award, the A&R Bronze Song Award, and also Golden Favorite A&R Award, and that's awarded for being one of the Beat 100 A&R team's favorite videos. So that's quite an accomplishment if they've decided that's their favorite video.
Thank you so much. I was so happy about it.
Well, I guess. And it's doing, I mean, it's doing very, very well. And your concert series is called the Real Man Concert Series. As of May, you named it that.
Yes.
And now let's talk about influences, because you've mentioned Michael Jackson, you've mentioned Prince, Tony Bennett, Mariah Carey. You have a taste for R&B, pop, big band, jazz, blues, country, hip hop, and swing music, which I love. You're not putting yourself in a box. You're letting all those influences, be heard through your songs. Now,
Exactly.
who you reminded of me of as soon as I listened was Justin Timberlake, John Mayer, and John Legend. Those were the 3 artists that came to mind when I heard your songs. And I was like, wow, this guy's gonna, and you're gonna go far. Like, I love your songs. And from the looks of it, so do a lot of other people. So you're doing great. Now, you also enjoy doing some covers. You enjoy dancing, writing songs, exploring the human mind, meditating. Yeah, meditating, reading, watching documentaries. Now, this struck me as, wow, you would have liked to be an FBI investigator if you hadn't gone into music?
Yes, I love it, totally. All the shows, everything. I love it. It's actually something that I got from my grandma. She passed away like 10 years ago, 9 years ago maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember exactly the date. And she used to love it when the Cold Case Files were the hit. And we'd watch it together, and ever since like being really little, I remember wanting like to do that. It's so nurturing, and I think it's fulfilling to discover. I'm actually pretty good at deducting what people are feeling, thinking, acting out on because of that. Like I'm very intuitive when it comes to that, and I think it's because of that show.
Wow.
And with all the many other shows that I like to watch, like.
Yeah, all of them. I know they're all great. I know I watched some of them too. I'm kind of glad you went into music, let me tell you, because you're great at it, Ian. Like,
thank you. So much.
And just to have those, iconic music people come into my mind when I hear you says so much about your writing and your style. And I'm glad that you found your niche, like where you belong, instead of trying to be something that you're not. And I think that's, unfortunately, some artists do make the mistake of trying to do what the industry wants them to do and not do what they want to do. And you can hear it in their songs, and you can see it when they're performing. When they really, 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 really love what they're doing, you can tell. And you can tell with you that you absolutely love it. And I think it's great. Now, you're a lot like me. Like, I'm very sociable, but I like to just be close to my family. Now, I like how you say a girl, if a girl was in your life. So I'm assuming there isn't a girl in your life right now?
No, there isn't.
Okay, ladies, you need to check this guy out. Trust me.
I'm here.
He's there.
As Prince would say, I'm willing and able.
And he'll write a song about you. Come on, I would die if a guy wrote a song about me. Um, so you're very you're introspective. You get very involved in your music and everything else, and it takes up most of your time. But I like the fact that you do take time for like your inner circle of friends, your family, and a girl. If a girl comes along, and trust me, you're gonna get a lot of them coming along. Just be smart about it.
Hopefully.
Don't make the wrong decision.
I'm good at making wrong decisions in
Yeah,
that
so am
area.
I. So am I. You know what I found? Just go for the opposite. Go for something that you didn't think would attract you. Those are the ones that usually work. I'm finding that out slowly right now, so there's hope. um,
I'm gonna do that exercise. I like it.
yeah,
I
it
like
works. Trust me, because I kept going for the same type, and it was just wrong, 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 wrong. And then I decided to go for a type that wasn't my type at all, and it's working well, and we're going really slow. So yeah, it's a good idea to just keep back in the back of your mind.
Yeah, because unlike music, I don't have a style or a type for girls.
Okay.
Like, I'm just like very focused on individuality, and if they have like a passion and a project that they like to talk about, and they're very eager to get it, that attracts me immediately.
Wow.
Like,
Now you're giving them tips, Ian.
well, once the house is sold, stop selling, but it's not sold yet.
But then again, if you did find a girl and you were happy, we wouldn't hear these, desperate songs about love, and it's so refreshing to hear it from a man. You know what I mean? When you hear about a
Yeah.
man worried about love and finding it, and because you don't really think about it, I don't think. As a woman, anyway, I know I don't think about, oh my goodness, a guy really means what he's singing when he says that. And after I read your bio and realized, no, you actually did mean every word of that, I was like, wow. So
Yeah,
it's very nice.
it's at times it's been a problem because I'm very like funny and corny and comic when I'm speaking, so they usually don't take my words seriously. They don't mark them really well, and then they come back to me and say, "Hey, you did it. You did really mean this." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I was telling you, but I didn't thought you meant that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." All right, so there's a lot of confusion there at times, and I remember Lady Gaga once saying that as artists, one should always be heartbroken. I don't listen to Gaga much, but I think she's a respectable artist, and as she would say, only hear the opinion of those I respect. So I respect her, and I took that and figured, well, yeah, but then you have this contrast with Tony Bennett. I read his book called Just Getting Started, and it's funny because it's a second autobiography, and it starts saying that when you get to be 90, you get to have two autobiographies in life. So that's the second one.
Yeah, I love Tony Bennett.
And he continues saying that everybody loves a winner. And so I took that to heart, like, try not to share your problems a lot. I share them through my songs, and I share my anguish and my desperation and my paranoia through my songs, but I try to keep it candid when it's the live social experience.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to put all your cards on the table either, right? You want to
Exactly.
keep them. Yeah, exactly. Like Ian, I can see you going very far, and I can see a lot of women all around you. You're a very nice looking man. You're very well spoken. And when you listen to your songs, oh my God. And it kind of reminded me too a little bit of Boys to Men. Like those were just the artists that were popping in my head when I was listening to you, and I was like, wow, like what a great mix. And it is, and it all works together, and you can hear, some of your influences in there, but you're very unique. You have your own sound, and that's your voice. Your voice stands out. It's very distinct, and I absolutely love it.
And I actually, with the Boys to Men thing, I don't listen to them as much, but I hear in the booklets of albums, I read that they do a lot of backgrounds for many artists, and so I like that.
Yeah.
And I hear how they harmonize, and I take from that, like, to put it into my own mix. And the song that they did with Mariah Carey is just outstanding, though not my favorite, because Mariah Carey and I just feel like she writes the songs for me all the time.
So Mariah, okay, I'm gonna tag her in this on Twitter.
Yeah. I actually wrote "Cry" with her in mind, like to perform it.
Oh wow!
But I know she only does her self-penned songs, so that never got through.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had her in mind when I wrote that song, and I think that you can hear it in some of the vocal mannerisms.
Yeah, you can. You can totally hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag her on Twitter when I put this up there.
I just thought to myself, like, this is the song that she's been missing, because I think she's really misunderstood. In the last 2 years, she's been really misunderstood with the kind of music that she's doing and the way she wants to go lyrically. So it's always very rich artist lyrically. And well, Prince, what can I say about Prince? Like, he comes up with those phrases and those names. I'm actually reading his ex-wife's book right now, and the letters that he wrote to her were amazing. Like, I can see the span of his mind and the broadness of his ideas. Like, it just amazed me more than I already loved him. And, and he has this really intricate lyrics, and then he comes up with something very simple from his last studio album, which was the Hit and Run Phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
And people really need to hear that album. I think it's his greatest body of work, and it was his last. And he has a song called The Rock and Roll Love Affair. And this other one that I can't remember the name, but the hook goes something like, if you ever need someone to take a shower with, call me up. And so I just figured those are really simple but true lyrics.
Yeah.
And in the complication of his mind, as I understand it, the simplicity of those words are just like true. Like, they're my college.
That's awesome. Well, I loved him. Absolutely loved him. That was the first musical kind of movie I ever watched, was Purple Rain, and fell in love with him from that moment on. He was a brilliant man. Brilliant. And I don't think people give him enough credit for how brilliant he was and how long he lasted in the industry. And it's just sad that he's no longer with us, because I thought, there was going to be a lot more great stuff to come. Now, if you had any advice to give any other artist that was just starting out, Ian, what kind of advice would you give them?
Probably the first and most important would be, don't sell out to the tendencies and the momentary music. What I mean by this is, don't try to see what's working in the industry and make that sound work for you. Find your sound and just give it to the world. If you do it from the heart, there's no doubt in my mind it works. For me, it worked like that. The day I started pouring my heart into my songs, it just went on from there. Things started to happen. And I'm not saying that the first album wasn't a good album, but it wasn't as real. And I think people felt that when you're coming from the heart. So my advisor always says, like, try to put timeless arrangements in your songs. And what I mean by this is, use real instruments, use real harmonies, things that are that can go and stand the test of time. Because there's this tendency now in songs, like, to do more than Latin rhythms, and then there's like this like vocal filter that they have, like in the Sorry song from Justin Bieber. Everybody's using that. And I just figure, okay, everybody's doing it and they're having hits right now, but once that dies away and it fades, where is that song going to be placed as a classic? It's not. There's no space for songs only made from the current sound. Mm-hmm. You need to have a timeless element. So add that to their songs. That would be my second advice. And my third advice is a repeat from the first, but extended. and that is, when you stay true to your feelings, I think people really perceive that. And I remember having a friend, and he's still my friend. We just don't talk as much because he's gone off to do his thing, and I do. And he's like, like 62 right now, and that's one thing I have. I can make lasting friendships with everyone, from someone who's 18, 19 to someone that's 70. I really don't see a generational gap unless there is an ideal gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing a lot of demos with him, and he's a musician too. And he used to tell me back like in 2013, like, you gotta hear me out when I say it. Like, once you behave with people the way you behave here with me, you're gonna stand out. People are gonna love you. And I was very insecure at the time to show myself as I was, and just didn't see that it would work. And I try to refute that, but now I see it, and I did it eventually. And yes, I have this thing where I say, the industry loves me, the social circles love me, and I love me, so it works for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you want to make sure you have songs that relate as well. I mean, and that's the glorious thing about songwriting is I don't think people realize that a lot of great artists write about their feelings, whereas maybe artists that are, doing really well right now write what they think people want to hear. And
Exactly.
that's the
Really
wrong way.
crafted.
Yeah, that's the wrong way to approach it. And I love that you're not like the cookie cutter, as I call it, style, that you
Yeah.
stand out and you realize that. What two songs are we going to hear from you today, Ian?
We're going to hear Free Time, which is the lead single to the sophomore album that people got to stay tuned for.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to hear the past single from that, which is Cry.
Yes.
And they're both R&B oriented, so that's why I chose them. And Free Time, I think it's a really great song. Really simple lyrics, but still relatable. And I really want to say really one small thing,
Sure.
and that is, as an advice, like, the song becomes relatable when you write it from within yourself. You can't if you don't relate to the song because you're trying to put into song an experience that isn't yours. It's very hard for people to relate, and many upcoming artists, they're very afraid to just express themselves in the way that they want because they don't think it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works because if people sense that it's from the heart, they're always going to relate. And they're going to relate because usually the things that happen in our life has happened to somebody else.
Exactly.
So you just got to find that somebody else.
Exactly.
And it's very important. Like, if you do that, then it's all going to work out, because you're not trying to approach the masses. You're trying to touch one heart.
And in the meantime, you're touching a whole bunch more. Yeah.
Exactly. And you're making a difference immediately. I don't think anybody has experienced a unique experience in their life. We've all been through experiences that someone around the world has had before. Mm-hmm. So just write from that, and you'll find that one person that needs it. And then eventually, if you get a lot of hype from that, then you'll grow from that. But I don't think anything that's crafted like in a writing board, with 10 writers sitting down at the table trying to figure out your next hit, I don't think that can be timeless at all.
No.
Like, if we see the songs in history, the real classics, they were just done by a man and his piano and his guitar, and that he believed what he was saying. Like, I remember the Ray Charles movie when he just made love to be his wife, and he sits at the piano and starts saying, I got a woman. And he starts writing the song that was coming out of him. And those are the songs that are going to last. So if they want to make a lasting impression and they really want to do this for the rest of their lives, that would be my two pieces of advice.
Wow.
And eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
And it's not a time run in how fast you get to the top, because I remember, I can't remember if it was Nelly the rapper or some other rapper, 50 Cent maybe. I can't remember who said it, but they said that once you get to the top, there's no way to go but down. So you want it to be an adventure that goes high.
Yeah.
And make a lasting impression. time is the biggest and only testing in the industry. If you can stand the test of time, then you're good to go. So,
Wow.
well,
Close with those. That's awesome. That is gold. That is perfect. I love that.
thank you.
I've never heard anybody say that. I really love that. Now you can buy your music anywhere online, and also your website, ianguerinmusic.com. It's going to be linked on my website to your website, so people just click it, find out more about Ian. Make sure you check out his
Thanks so
pictures,
much.
ladies, and the words to his songs. Um, I want to say, Ian, thank you so much for coming on my show. If anything new happens or you want to announce the name of the album, whatever, you know how to get a hold of me. You can always come back on. And
Thank you so much.
I think you're going to stand the test of time, and I can't wait to watch. So thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. I hope I can come back, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm very grateful for people who want to listen and are so invested and so interested in my songwriting as you were today. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you, Ian. That is so sweet. And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website because you never know what kind of surprises you'll find in my attic. Cheers.